Hi everyone and welcome to a new Friday update, and in this one I'm going to talk about the changes to the melee combat, and I hope you enjoyed that little intro video. As you saw, the dash and the attacks and especially the ground slam have had a huge both visual and audio overhaul. Now thanks to Marvelous Spiral Studios, who's now doing our VO, I had some extra time to go back and change one of the oldest things in our game, which is the particles and sounds for melee combat. And I got a little bit carried away. And the whole basically melee system has gotten a huge overhaul. So what has changed? Well, now every weapon, I've kind of given a difficulty to it. So the easiest weapon is now the sword and shield. It provides the best defense, you get great attack. If you miss an attack, it's not going to cost you that much stamina. If you hit an attack, you get all that stamina back, a little bit extra. It's just very user-friendly. But all the weapons have now also gotten their own dodge and their own roll. And not just animations, but the way that they work has also been changed. So what I noticed when I was playtesting the game, I noticed that the twin blade was incredibly strong, and I was thinking about what do I do, you know? Do I just nerf it? Do we just lower the DPS, even though I calculated it based on the animations, etc. And it's the same in terms of DPS as other weapons, but you know, it has more range, so it can hit more enemies and it feels stronger for that reason. Or do we just make it a more difficult weapon to use? Because it is a more difficult weapon in the lore of our game. There's no other people really running around with a twin blade. Aron is alone in this, and I'm not going to tell you how or why. That's all spoiler territory. I'll leave that for the game. But I thought it would be cool if we also made it a more difficult weapon to use. So that's where I came up with the list, and that's where I started building. So the whole stamina system has had an overhaul. There were a lot of bugs in there. So in terms of weapons and difficulty, got the sword and shield. Then it's the sword, the one-handed sword, the heavy sword, dual sword, and twin blades. Now, I really tried to give each of them their own profile, as it were. And the twin blade being really the most difficult one, and the sword and shield being the easiest. So I'm going to focus on those two, and you can kind of think of what it means for the rest in between. So the sword and shield, like I said, it blocks all the damage. Not all the damage, but you know, it can block 100% light damage, 50% heavy damage, and none of the other weapons can do that. The stamina cost, you can regain that pretty fast per swing. So if you miss right now, you lose all your stamina. You lose the stamina that you put into an attack, and that initial stamina that you put into an attack is higher, so you'll run out of stamina faster. But you can regain everything if you hit at least one enemy. If you hit multiple enemies, there's not going to be a difference. But if you hit one enemy, you get that stamina back. And the most difficult weapon, the twin blade, you can only miss a few attacks. If you miss like 3 attacks in the beginning, then you're going to be out of stamina. But what I thought would be really cool, and what I'm happy I got implemented, is that I wanted you, the player, and Aron to kind of grow together as you play this game. So as you get better, Aron gets better. I know that sounds like a marketing pitch, and it is a little bit. But as you play the game and you find skill points, Aron will also increase the maximum amount of stamina that he has. So the more stamina you have, the less expensive an expensive attack is. You know, if you miss 2 times with the twin blade early game, that's going to be devastating. But if you look for all the skill points, and now you've got a better handle on the game, it's not going to cost you as much, because you could do 5 heavy or 5 twin blade attacks and still have some stamina left to roll away. So what else has been changed? Every weapon now has their own dodge and roll animation. And it's not just the animation, their invulnerability time has also been tweaked. So with the sword and shield, you get a pretty big invulnerability time. You can dodge, and chances are big that you will not get hit. But as we go down the list of increasing in difficulty of weapons, and we get to the twin blade, with the twin blade, you really have to make sure to nail that timing, you know. Make sure you're in that dodge animation as the enemy swings, or make sure you're just out of there before the enemy swings. You do, like, it's you'll do more damage, but there's a bigger risk to it as well. Hopefully that also makes you think about how to approach an encounter. So if you're fighting a big enemy, a big boss, and you're not sure how he's going to attack you yet, maybe you'll switch to the sword, to the heavy sword, or the sword and shield even, instead of using the twin blade. But if you see a group of grunts late game, you'll just switch to the twin blade and start whacking at them as if they are nothing, because you'll be able to just, cut through them like butter. And I really hope that that adds a nice layer of. And then we have more of a polished pass on everything that you also saw in the intro. So new particle effects, new sounds. All the weapons now have their own sounds, really. Sometimes just a variation on top of existing sounds, but first they mostly use the sword and shield sound. Now they all have their own swing sounds. They have their own impact sounds. They have their own impact particles, which is weapon specific on top of the particles that already existed. So just in general, a lot more polished, a lot of changes, and I'll probably continue to tweak this as we get closer to launch. We still need to do proper testing with this new way of doing combat. I put a hit stop in, which I'm not too sure about yet, because it kind of breaks my flow right now, because you practice these combos, and then with hit stop, that's where the game almost freezes, it seems. You see that in games like God of War, and it works really well. It gives you that sense of impact, but it also breaks with the combo flow a little. So I'm not sure I'll keep that in. Yeah. I hope you were able to follow this. It's a lot of information in one video. And I hope that you are excited about these changes. I think it's going to be great. I've been thinking about changing up the combat system a little bit for a long time, cleaning up all the stamina stuff. And I feel really good about where it's at right now. I feel really good about the fact that our weapons aren't just skins, They really have their own playstyle almost, which is what I've wanted, but I wasn't really sure how to do that. So I'm very glad that's in. And I hope you're excited about these changes as well. Let me know. If you haven't wishlisted the game on Steam yet, then please do so. And subscribe to the YouTube channel for all of our trailers and Friday updates, etc. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you in the next